ladies and gentlemen, Josh Sanch. Welcome back to the Bodybuilding News Network for your 2024 Arnold Classic Men's Open Bodybuilding Predictions video. Now we are essentially at this point hours out from prejudging for this year's Arnold Classic Men's Open, and I wanted to get on here and make sure I had at least one prediction video out here for you guys. So we're going to run through all the most recent physique updates from these competitors, so hopefully you enjoy this style of content. Let's go ahead and jump right into my prediction for the person to win this show is Hotti Chupin. Now, of course, the Persian Wolf has not been posting a lot of physique updates, but I did want to give you guys a high-level overview from his story from the meet and greet today at the Arnold Classic Expo, where you can kind of see his mental state as well as, kind of where he's at emotionally and, possibly even spiritually when he's meeting these fans, when he's getting ready for the show. How is he feeling? How is he thinking? What's his mental state like? Is he smiling a lot? Is he having a lot of fun? Those are huge key indicators that are going to speak to possibly how he's going to perform tonight at prejudging and tomorrow at finals. Now, like I said, we haven't seen a lot of physique updates specifically from Hotti Chupin, but I do want to highlight, his mental aspects and how he's feeling coming into this show. Now, you can, for a brief moment here and there throughout this video, you're going to be able to see kind of how his face looks. You can kind of get an idea on the death face, as some people say, with him coming into this show. And although it's not as significant as some of these classic guys, as we are, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving into a new era of bodybuilding where condition is not the name of the game anymore. You have people like Samson Win, and I would say even Raphael Brendo and Horse MD, although those two are much more conditioned. You have someone at the peak of competitive bodybuilding, or even Derek Lunsford. They're not crazy shredded. The conditioning isn't their calling sign. So it is important, as Totoro just does join the cast, it is important to understand where this sport is going. And when you have someone with a freak factor like Hotti Chupin, who's really known for conditioning, the last couple of years he's been kind of dialing it back with the conditioning. So as we come full circle with this statement, it's important to point out that although he doesn't have a crazy death face, like maybe someone like Raphael Brendo had a crazy death face a couple days ago, and I would say most of the classic physique division have death faces, Hotti's not one of those guys. Of course, the beard doesn't help with us being able to see what's going on behind the scenes or behind the mask. I still think he looks very good. I think his mental state is pretty solid, and I definitely think that he's going to be battling it for the 1 and 2 spot here at the Arnold Classic. Now, moving right along into Samson Win being my second pick here. And honestly, him and Hotti, as Totoro wants to, he's been scratching his face, so I have to put a cone on him. But as we can see with Hotti, or with Samson here, I'm really wondering, what's going on with this guy, what's going on with his camp. You look at the guys he's working with, and they're not really pushing the envelope on conditioning. And that's something that's becoming more and more clear as we move along with this season, as we move along in this 2024 season, is that he's being rewarded for not coming in shredded. And I think that is also going to play a huge part in James Hollingshead's physique and placing at this Arnold Classic as well. This is the most recent shot we've seen of Samson, is his back double shot. I do believe it said it was 1 week out. Hopefully I'm not mixing up with the 3 weeks out photo he did. But as Totoro continues to join the cast, as I toss him, right? When we look at Samson, he's getting rewarded for not bringing the same level of conditioning we've seen from competitors who have won shows in the last few years. And nothing against the guy. I'm happy he's doing well. I'm happy he's winning shows and providing money for his family. But it does kind of leave a taste in my mouth. I really do like to see the competitors bring crazy level of conditioning. And from the physique update we saw, and from some of the camera shots we're seeing in his story here, you can kind of see in the neck, it's not crazy depleted. He's not really, it's not sucked in. Of course, the beard does hide just a tiny bit of it. It's something that it's something that I miss. I miss seeing the crazy death faces. I thought that that was a really exciting part of the Olympia prep coming into those shows. Everyone's showing off, how far are you? I mean, I remember when not when Hotti won, but when Big Ramy won his first one, he had a crazy death face, and it really did create a lot of momentum. It created a lot of excitement. And with Samson, I think he's going to get second here. He could win. He is the reigning. But there's definitely something missing for me as a fan, and I'm hoping that he continues to grow his physique and continues to perfect that conditioning, as he's been working with Milos for, I believe it's at least over a year at this point. Now, we are going to be moving into, I believe it is my third pick. As we move into my third pick, now this one is an interesting one because when we came into this show, I had Raphael Brendo in third. And I watched a recent podcast with Fuad over on his channel with some of the guys, with Ian and a couple other guys were there. Paul was there. Anywho, they were kind of talking about how Fuad was looking at Marcelo D'Angelo or Horse MD as kind of being potentially a front runner over Raphael Brendo. Now, he also said that James was going to be in that mix too, fighting it out for that third place spot. Now, I originally thought that Raphael Brendo was going to be the shoe-in for the second or third place spot here, given how Samson looks and how Hotti looks. But honestly, the more I look at Horse MD, and we'll look more at him in just a second, the more I look at the guy, the more I'm impressed. The level of conditioning that Horse is bringing, and we'll talk about him in just a second, he's very impressive. And he definitely has the opportunity to continue to move up in placings as he continues to perfect his physique in the men's open division. Remember that he's brand new to open. He's only been doing competitive or professional bodybuilding for a couple of years now, classic starting out. Now, sticking with Raphael Brendo, from these most recent physique updates, doing some posing, I'm very happy to see that he's being consistent with his physique over the years. Of course, taking some time last year off to grow and add some much needed size. Now, I will say that he does look a bit bigger. He looks a little bit bigger than the last time we saw him, and I think that could reward him in his placings this year. Of course, time will tell as we get on stage here in just a few hours. We're going to get to see exactly what these guys look like. And of course, very happy for Raphael Brendo. Now, moving into Horse MD, we talked about him just a little bit just a second ago. This guy is continuing to improve. He's continuing to perfect his physique. That it's something we haven't really seen a lot from athletes recently, is being able to put on this much muscle and improve this much in such a short time. Now, like I said before, Horse MD or Marcelo Dangeles is a new competitor to Men's Open. He's really exciting. He's got the proportions you want to see in a Men's Open competitor that typically we only see in Classic. And I think that Horse and maybe even Raphael Brendo, and I think even Samson Dauda in some situations, are bringing that look that the judges want from Classic, and they're converting it, they're transforming it, they're bringing it into the Men's Open division. I think that's a huge script. That's a huge, I don't know how you want to word it, but it's a perfect way for Horse MD to set himself apart from the competition and also put himself in a position to continue to improve. And I definitely can see him winning a show this year. We've definitely seen people of less caliber win shows last year and even the year prior. So there's definitely some opportunity. There's definitely some room for Horse to win shows here. Is he going to win the Arnold Classic? I don't think so. I think that there is 3 gentlemen specifically that are going to be in front of him. But if he does find a way to knock off Raphael Brendo in this show, I really would be impressed. I'd be shocked. I'd be very motivated to see him continue to improve, over the next couple of years. But if he knocks out a top 10 competitor at the Olympia, it really does speak to what he's able to do and what he's possibly able to accomplish in this competitive season. Now, moving right along, I do believe we hop right into James Hollingshead. My editing software is a little behind today, so I do apologize. I think my computer is getting a little warm, but I have James for the next pick. I believe this is the 5th place. And I honestly didn't have James as high as this before. I think I had Rubiel Mascara, I had Andrew Jack, I had those guys in these picks. But the more I look at James, the more I'm just impressed on how this guy looks. And he's always been a big guy. He's always had a lot of size. The thing that I thought would really hold James back in this contest was the conditioning. He usually doesn't have crazy amounts of conditioning in separation with the muscle. He has a very, Branch Warren-esque physique, very grainy, very gnarly. It has a great freak factor to it, very full, very bubbly. And I love that look for him. I think it looks great on him. It's just some of the shots, it doesn't really pop as much as some of the other competitors. You don't get to see that level of detail that we're going to get to see in the top 4 here. Now, of course, if James does move up, I would be very impressed, and congratulations to him if he does. But the thing that I was worried about with James, like I said, bringing it full circle, is that James has historically not brought that level of conditioning. And if that does hold him back here, I don't know what James is going to do. Is this a situation where he's going to take this information and make adjustments, or is he going to continue doing what he's doing? I mean, he is with his physique, or at least with the physique we saw last year. He took some time off with the surgery and just improving overall. With this physique, he's winning shows. So does he continue to do this? There's a lot of competitors that people are saying, oh, I don't like that look. A lot of people, poke fun at Nathan Dashes, saying they don't like his structure, but he's still winning shows. So is the question to change things up, or to continue doing what you are doing to win pro shows? That's my question. Those are my thoughts. John De La Rosa is going to be my 6th place finish. Now, I really actually didn't have him very high at all in my prediction videos, but I started thinking about how he looks right now, and also what he's done previously in recent history in terms of competitive history. And he placed very close to Hunter Labrada last year, and I would say he does look pretty gosh darn good in these physique updates we're seeing here. So this is definitely going to be a wild card pick for me. I would say between him and Akeem are those guys I really don't know where they're going to land, but I am going to give them relatively favorable placings, as they do have the size that they need to compete and place well, but the conditioning and the separation is a big question mark for me for both of them. So that's kind of why I put them in the middle of the pack. Now, like I said, John's been doing a really good job. He's been competing for quite a while now. I think even I'll plug Fuad's podcast again. They were talking about John recently, and that kind of gave me some motivation to want to put him a little bit higher than I originally did. So hopefully he does place as well as I'm predicting here, or even if he places higher, I'd be ecstatic for him. You gotta love seeing these guys do well and be successful. So best of luck to John De La Rosa. I think I saw him announce he's doing the Detroit Pro. So he's definitely going to be starting his competitive season today at the Arnold Classic, and then he's going to be rolling into more shows in the near future. So stay tuned for that. He's probably got a lot of stuff, a lot of fun stuff planned for us in the near future. Now, moving into Akeem Williams. Now, Akeem is this guy that he placed really well once at the Olympia, and that was kind of like that's what we saw recently from him. And since then, we just haven't seen what we've wanted to see from Akeem Williams. He looks good. I'm not going to say he looks bad right now, but there's definitely there's a lacking in my mouth when I look at the physique. There's the chest, the delts, there's just like a film over his physique that it's just not what I wanted to see from him. I really wanted to see that Olympia package from him. Unfortunately, I think what we're going to get from Akeem is what we typically get is about 85% of what we can see from Akeem. Now, I will say the legs, there is some conditioning. There's a pretty good amount of detail here. So definitely not outside the realm of possibility for him to place well or move up a couple spots here. I don't know if he's going to be able to knock out John, or if he's going to knock out James Hollingshead. I think that's it. He's definitely possible. Him and John could definitely go back and forth. I'd say even Antoine is kind of a wild card too. You don't really know where he's going to place. But overall, I think that if Akeem had about one more week, he really could perfect this. I just don't know if he timed it perfectly with him, his coach, and his camp. But of course, best of luck to Akeem Williams as he does get ready for the show. I think he could do well here. It's just, like I said, with the conditioning we've seen from him previously and what we're seeing from him right now, it's not what I wanted to see. And I think that's where I'll leave it for this one. Now, moving into the next competitor here, we do have, Akeem was the last pick. Antoine is kind of where I'm thinking I'm going to put in the next spot for, I believe this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8th place. So for Antoine, he's made improvements over the last few years, and I think he looks really good in some shots, but I do think he looks a little narrow, maybe even small compared to the other competition when you look at some of his physique shots on Instagram. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't look good. I think he looks great, especially in this shot. His delts look amazing. He's got a lot of nice fullness. You can see the quads kind of popping through here. He's got vascularity. It's what we want to see from the guy. And historically, he's always had really dominant legs. Coming into this Arnold Classic, we wanted to see a little bit more improved size from him. And although I do think he's probably been able to improve a little bit, I definitely don't think that he's going to be at the caliber currently to be winning the Arnold Classic. He has won shows before, so he is a champion in all reality. I just wonder where he's going to place here. And that's why he's kind of falling back to the back of the pack here, is I just don't think he has the size right now to compete with the other guys. And although the conditioning, I think, is comparable to some of the guys and maybe even ahead of other people, maybe he's a little bit more conditioned than Akeem, and I thought John looked pretty good. So, I don't know how those two will compare. We'll find out today. It's going to be a very close show, and we're just hours out from prejudging. I think Men's Classic is starting. It's already started, so I'll hop into that in just a second. I think the women's fitness is first, but we'll have a little bit of time to watch that, and I'll give you guys a brief overview of the classic physique as well. But when we look at Antoine Vant, that's kind of my thought. That's my takeaway from the guy is he looks good. He looks improved, but there is, again, the closer we get to the end of the pack, we just start to think that these guys are just missing something, and what is it that they're missing that they need to address? And that's a huge takeaway that these pros should be taking from these shows, is when they get compared next to, hopefully they stand side by side by Hotti, by Samson, maybe even Raphael Brendo. They're going to get those comparisons. And with those comparisons, they can figure out what they need to improve upon in the coming season, in the coming off season, if that's what their plan is, or if they're going to plan to compete more. Now, Mohamad Shaban, or Justin Rodriguez, apologies. Justin and Mohamad are the finalists at the end of this video. Now, Justin, although he did compete and he did look very well last year, I don't know if he's exactly ready. When you look at the physique updates, he's been saying, you got to root for the underdog. And although I do appreciate the underdog sentiment, and he did prove us wrong last year at the Arnold Classic. He looked phenomenal in prejudging. I don't know if that's what we're going to get to see from Justin coming into this show. There's just a lot of areas that are lacking in his physique updates recently. The separation in the legs, the hamstrings, the quad separation, the detail. I'd say even like the fullness in the chest is kind of lacking here. So is he dieting a little too hard already, or has he not filled up yet? Has he not done the carb load, or is he depleting on water, so he's looking a little flat? I mean, there's so many different variables that come into these guys' preps that it's really hard to tell exactly what we're going to see on stage. And that's why it's so important for us to watch the free live stream that is available for everyone to watch at the Arnold Classic. Go over their Instagram. You have to register for the live stream, so I'm sure they're going to send you spam afterwards, but it's free. Check it out. But essentially, Justin, not sure where we're going to see him, not sure if he's going to go crazy and make super duper improvements, or if he's going to be kind of at the back of the pack like I predicted. And last but certainly not least, there has to be a first and there has to be a last. I have Mohamad Shaban in last place here. And to be candid, when they announced the lineup and they had Mohamad Shaban in this lineup, I kind of saw him towards the end of the pack here. Although he does look crazy, he has a lot of nice proportions. I just don't know how he's going to compare next to the other lineups, the other athletes in this lineup. He's not as tall. He's not as wide as some of the other guys. He does have a nice look to him. Maybe if you put him next to Hotti, you could probably be able to pick out some things. If you put him next to John De La Rosa, I think you could pick out a few things of, what looks good on him and what doesn't. But he just didn't really show a lot of physique updates coming into the show. So I feel like the hype just wasn't there. And you're looking at the before and after here on the screen, you can definitely see that he started from a very soft position in his physique, and I think he has made huge improvements coming into this prep. He looks phenomenal, but again, it's not about how good you look, but how good you look next to the competition. And that's where I'll leave it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my prediction video for this Arnold Classic. Apologies on the editing. It's a little laggy, so I'm not sure how it's going to look after production, but a good 20-minute video is going to take me a while to get through. So thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. Make sure you guys stay tuned here on BNN for some more coverage of the Arnold Classic, and make sure you check out I saw CPC Brant was doing the Classic Physique watch, the live stream watch party. Go check that out. I'm going to go jump in on his video and get a gander. So thanks for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.